April 3rd, Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
And you'll save during the tax refund sale going on now at Water Beds and Stuff and our new Beds and Stuff superstores. Use that tax refund money and save up to 70% off. Yeah, save up to 70% off on select bedrooms, furniture, mattresses, and food.
And as I was leaving and closing the door to her room, there was someone down the hall leaving another room. And from a distance, I could tell that it was a man, and then closer, I could tell that it was a tall man in a uniform, a gray uniform. It was Chuck. Chuck was at hospice, and from the way he was leaving in that drooped-shouldered, quiet way that people leave the rooms of the dying, I could tell that he was leaving someone he loved. I wanted to run to this man I had had such violent fantasies about all day. I wanted to run to him. I wanted to wear his perfect uniform. I wanted to hug him and say, I get it, Malcolm. I mean, Chuck, I get it. Some things just can't be fixed, can they? But I didn't. I watched him get into his pickup truck and drive away. Annie died the next day, and I stood by her bed as her priest said his prayers. My car got better. It never stalled again. I don't get it. I don't understand how a car gets better with nobody's help, and how a person doesn't get better with everybody's. But I'm learning that there's a lot I don't understand.
Reset the triple odometer at 23, Whittier and Front Street.
Martha is a clinical psychologist and author of many books, including Undercurrents, A Life Beneath the Surface. In a moment, we'll be back with Piper Kerman, whose best-selling memoir was the inspiration for the award-winning series of the same name, Orange is the New Black.
I don't like this series.
So shoppers can evaluate options in one place. Now that's Progressive. Comparisons available at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
The North Radio Hour is produced by Atlantic Public Media, Woods Hole, Massachusetts, and presented by the Public Radio Exchange, prx.org.
A key figure in the $60 million State House bailout scandal has been found dead near his home in Florida. Authorities are investigating. Coming up on our weekly Reporter Roundtable, the life and times of the once super lobbyist Neil Clark. And novelist and nonfiction writer Anne Lamott talks about her new book on managing these times. That's coming up Monday on All Sides with Ann Fisher from 10 to noon on 89.7 NPR News.
We're learning more about the victims of the shootings around Atlanta. We'll continue to follow that story. And with so many people still working from home, they're buying fewer clothes, wearing less makeup. The beauty and fashion industry hit hard by the pandemic. That's next time on Here and Now.
Tomorrow afternoon, starting at 1 on 89.7 NPR News. Radio Hour from PRX. I'm Jennifer Hickson. Piper Kerman grew up in a supportive family, graduated from an elite college, and had a promising future until some bad decisions caught up with her and sent her to prison for 13 months. We were drawn to a story in her memoir that outlined the immense value of an ordinary transistor radio in prison. Here's Piper Kerman live at the Moth.
For sale at the commissary with money from Chicago to Brussels, and I did. The things that we do, the consequences of the things we do, they come back to us in one way or another. And for me, more than a decade later, I found myself walking through prison gates in the biggest, most vicious-looking razor wire fence I'd ever seen in my life. And on that day when I surrendered at that prison, I found myself stripped naked in a cold tile room, commanded to squat and cough for the first of what would be hundreds and hundreds of strip searches. And I was transformed head-spinningly quickly into prisoner number 11187-424. That place and the people who ran it never let you forget that to them you were nothing but that number. So I was put in the unit where I would live for the next year, and I immediately saw that I was one of hundreds and hundreds of prisoners. I was surrounded by women of every size, shape, color, accent, and I knew none of them. I was desperately trying to avoid eye contact with anyone, and women began to approach me, and I was scared. And they said things to me, they came at me, and they said things like, "Do you need a toothbrush? Some shower shoes? Some instant coffee?" This was the phenomenon known as the welcome wagon. And you need to get everything that you need from the welcome wagon because you're not going to get it from the prison. The only things that the prison gives you during your stay are toilet paper, tampons, and once a month, a small ration of laundry powder. So everything you need comes from the commissary. Even the things on offer, from the institution like green meat and government cheese and moldy pudding are ironically in short supply. The food is lousy and the portions are too small. And so that commissary is very important. If you have money in your commissary account, you can get a banana, some ibuprofen, even some eyeshadow in hummingbird colors. And these tiny comforts, they make you feel human there. And they also make you feel just a little bit more in control of your prison life, which is why commissary is one of the first privileges you might lose if you're punished there. So I was very fortunate. Unlike most of the women that I was doing time with, I could count on folks from the outside world to put money into my commissary account. So in theory, I would want for nothing, but there was one thing that I wanted from that commissary very, very badly, and I couldn't get it. And that was a radio. Just a cheap little transistor radio about the size of a deck of cards with a headset. And it would have cost about $6 out here on the street, and in prison it costs $42.90. And at 14 cents an hour, that represents about 300 hours of prison labor. So those radios are very, very dear. And despite that, once a woman has her basics taken care of, her hygienes, her stamps, that radio is going to be one of the first things that she gets if she can scrape together the resources. And here's why. Prison, especially in this country, is crowded. And because of that, it's noisy. Imagine the sound of hundreds and hundreds of people bouncing off of cinder block walls and metal all day, every day. And prison is lonely. The last thing my lawyer said to me before I was about to go in was, "Piper, don't make any friends." And something you hear again and again when you're locked up is, you walk in here alone and you walk out alone. And prison is stultifyingly intimate, meaning that all of your moments of every day, your most private moments, are lived stacked on top of one another in a place where no one wants to be. This is not the kind of intimacy that one craves. So that radio was like the silver bullet that could at least alleviate those conditions a little bit, just a little bit. But I couldn't get one. And
Yeah,
that's because
crosswalk
every
right up
week,
here, you know.
when I went to the commissary on Tuesdays, the prison guard who ran the place, he was the one who would throw every grocery item at you after he scanned it. Would say, "No radios, Kerman. No radios, Kerman." They were out of stock. Out of stock of the radios. Now, folks wanted those radios for practical reasons. You had to have the radio in order to watch television. So if you'd gone into any of the